Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to talk about comparison, which can be tricky, right? Because we can fall into the trap of comparing ourselves with others. And I want to tell you about what you should be comparing yourself to, about how to avoid those traps that you may be falling into when you don't even recognize that you are going down that comparison spiral, if you will, and what to focus on instead and how to be fulfilled and truly be happy, which is really what we're longing for, right? When we are comparing ourselves to others. So let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas. So today we're talking about comparison in a different light. I, of course, will mention how not to compare yourself to others, but I do want to talk and focus on who you should be comparing yourself to. And so I'm going to start with a quote right off the bat. This one is from Daisaku Ikeda. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it says, "Before comparing yourself with others, win the battle with yourself. Strive to be better today than yesterday, better tomorrow than today." So before comparing yourself with others, win the battle with yourself. That is the key, y'all. That is such good advice, to win the battle with ourselves, right? Because that is truly who we should be comparing ourselves to. We should be comparing ourselves to the version of ourselves that we used to be, the version that we were yesterday, the one that we will be tomorrow, right? These are the healthy comparisons that we can make because we are all running our own race, right? We are all running our own lives. We are all in this alone, right? And I say that with love because we are not in it alone, but at the same time, we are, because you are unique. You are unique and you are given gifts that no one else has. You are given things that you can do that no one else can do, right? There are things unique to you that no one else will never even know. And you are an amazing mom. You're an amazing person. If you are listening to this podcast, I promise you that you are doing amazing because you are taking the time to listen to something that you believe will improve your life, that you believe will make you a better mom. And that right there is saying something, right? That right there proves that you want to be better. And what you want to be better than is who you are right in this moment, right? Who you are right now. And you want to get better every single day. And what does that mean? That means something different for everyone. It literally means something different for everyone. Your better is not going to be someone else's better. What is important to you is not going to be important to every other mom, right? And so why would we compare ourselves to these other moms that we may see on Pinterest or on Instagram or Facebook or at the preschool drop off or at Kroger or wherever you shop or on TV, right? And we compare ourselves to all of these other mothers where we have no idea what their story is. We have no idea what their actual reality is. And we also should not be comparing ourselves to them because we most likely do not want these same exact things, You are wanting for your life and for your family and for you and for your children something different than another mom wants for her children, right? What is important to you is not going to be important to every other mother. And so when we compare ourselves to other people, when we don't know their whole story, right? First of all, we aren't seeing the whole story, but also we don't know what's important to them. We don't know what makes them happy or fulfilled. But you know what? You might have forgotten also what makes you happy and fulfilled. And so that's where it starts. You have to figure out what is important to you so that you can compare yourself to who you were yesterday and to who you will be tomorrow, right? We can only get better when we know what that looks like. And when we're trying to compare ourselves or, use that better judgment of other people's lives as what we are striving for, why? Why would we do that to ourselves? Because what they have may sound great, may look great. You may believe that that would be amazing if you could just have that type of life, have that type of, Pinterest perfect, whatever it is. Like if it be a craft project, if it be a laundry room, if it be a pantry, whatever you're looking at that seems like you are not measuring up. It could be, the way that the home is organized. That's kind of my space that I'm living in right now is I keep comparing myself to others who are way farther along than me that in their organizational journey, right? Like I am ADHD brain. I'm all over the place. We have so much stuff accumulated and I am trying to thin it out. And I am looking to people who know how to do this, right? And their homes look amazing. But if I am comparing myself to those people, that is not apples to apples. That is not a fair comparison. They didn't start where I started, and they most likely are not where I want to be, right? Because my brain is never going to be able to be that organized, right? At least I don't think it is. Maybe it is, who knows, but we will see. But it is not what I should be striving for. What I should be striving for is what I want my home to look like and what I want my life to look like, right? For my family, my children, for our household. And it takes time and energy away from where you want to focus and what is productive when you are focused on comparing yourself to someone else. So I'm going to read another quote here. And this one is from Judy Garland. And it says, always be a first rate version of yourself instead of a second rate version of somebody else. Always be a first rate version of yourself instead of a second rate version of somebody else. That is exactly like what I was just talking about, right? Like, even if I was super organized in my mind, I would never be able to be as organized as someone who that is what their jam is. That is what they love. That is what they do. That is where they thrive, right? That is never going to be me. I just want to have some non chaos in my house, right? Like, I want to have some idea of where everything is at all times, right? And, what does it have to look Pinterest perfect for me? No, but does it have to make sense for me and my household? Yes. So I want to be a first rate version of myself, not a second rate version of someone else, right? And that can apply to any and everything in our lives. We tend to compare ourselves to others who aren't where we are and most likely aren't where we want to be, because I don't want to take the time and all of the, energy that it takes to put my house together that way and to keep it that way. That is never going to be me and my life. I have other things that I would prefer to focus on, right? That does not bring me joy. I just want less chaos. I want my mind to be clear. I don't really necessarily care if everything looks Pinterest perfect, right? That isn't important to me. Like, it just isn't. And while I want my house to be clean and clear and I feel organized, I don't need it to look like those people on Pinterest. Would it be nice? Yeah, it would, I guess, if somebody else were to do that for me. But like, I don't want to have to do that all the time. right? Like that would not, it doesn't bring me enough joy to spend the time in order to do that, right? So sometimes you have to think about the cost reward, right? And where you want to spend your time and what is actually most important to you. And that's not where I am right now. Could it be down the road that when I have no kids in my house could look like that? Yeah, maybe. But I don't even know if that's what I would want it to look like then, right? So who knows? It's all about figuring out what is the best version of you. Compare yourself to who you were, who you are, and who you want to be. That is where the comparison is beneficial, is helpful, is productive, right? I have one more quote here, and this one is from Eleanor Roosevelt that says, "You wouldn't worry so much about what others think of you if you realized how seldom they do." We wouldn't care enough about what others think of us if we realize that they're really not thinking of us that often. And so much time I believe we waste on feeling like we're going to be judged for how our house looks or for how we look when we go to pick up at preschool or for, not having whatever it is, like whatever it is that you're comparing yourself to others are or thinking that you are being judged for, most likely you are not being judged for that. And most likely people aren't giving it a second thought. You are spending a lot of time there worried about what other people are thinking, but really what matters is what is important to you and your family. It does not matter what anyone else thinks. They are most likely not thinking about you anyway, except for if you're maybe right in front of them, right? If you're right in front of them, they are thinking about you. But when you're not, they are not thinking about you, right? They have enough on their plate. We all know how busy we are. Do we really spend our time thinking about other moms and what they are doing wrong or whatever? No, we don't. We don't. We think about these other moms that we see that are doing things right that we want to do, right? But we don't spend the time thinking about other moms who are doing it wrong unless it's to like make ourselves feel better when we actually see them and they're like, "Oh, I can relate to her, She's a hot mess like I am." Those are the things I know I would think all of the time. Like I would find solace in other moms who look like they might be a hot mess as well as me, right? And I would find comfort in that. But really, people are not judging you. They aren't judging you. I was never judging the other moms. I was just happy that they were in the same boat as me, right? I was not judging them. And so people are not thinking about you in that way. And so whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that is important to you, that is what I want you to get clear on. That is what I want you to tune into. That is what I want you to compare yourself to. Because if you look back at your journey as a mother, I know you can find so many things, so many great things that you have done, so many great things that you are currently doing. And sometimes we get in this trap of beating ourselves up and it blocks us from the potential that we could be, right? It blocks us from what we do want because we start to get defeated. We start to think we can't do these things that we want to do because we aren't as good as X, Y, or Z person, right? And it's just not true. It is a lie. I'm going to read one last quote here, and this is actually a Bible verse, and it's Galatians chapter 6, verse 4, and it says, "Pay careful attention to your own work, for then you will get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else." If we're so busy looking at what we do, what we are already doing, what we have done, and the work that we want to do, you will get the satisfaction of having a job well done when you are achieving things, when you are taking steps forward, when you are becoming that better version of yourself, when you are getting towards that more that you want for your life, right? And you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else because you'll have enough to do. You'll have enough work for yourself. And this is where I think the beauty lies, right? It's in just worrying about you, in worrying about yourself. And when I say worry, I don't mean worry, right? It's concerning ourselves, right? It's taking the time to get still and get clear and figure out what we want in life. Figure out what is important to you. Figure out how you get that, right? What are the important things to you? What are your core values? What are your strengths? What do you want in this life? What is that more you're striving for? It's going to be different for you than every single other person. And so you have to walk through this journey for yourself. And that is exactly what we do in my coaching program. If you are struggling with this, I would love to help you with it. This is something where I have created a roadmap where we baby step, right? We take these small steps to discovering what is important to you, who you are, because you have likely changed as a mother. You are not the same person that you were before you had kids. And sometimes we don't know who that person is anymore. And so getting still and getting clear and taking the effort to figure out what you want and why. And that's what we do in my coaching program. That's what I would love to help you with. Go to prioritizewithpurpose.com, prioritizewithpurpose.com to schedule a prioritization clarity call where we will get clear on what it is that you want for yourselves. We start small. It is an intentionally slow process that I can take you through. And it really, honestly, you can unlock a lot of this on your own. It's just taking that first step, and having somebody else walk it with you is sometimes so impactful because you feel blocked a lot of times. I felt stuck. When I was in this place, I was very stuck and I could not see what was missing. I couldn't see what I was doing wrong. I thought I was doing all of the right things, but I didn't understand really how to figure out who I was anymore, right? I didn't know what to do or where to start. And so I created this program so that you wouldn't have to figure that out for yourself, because it took me way too long, right? Like it took me a long time and a lot of pain and suffering that I do not want you to have to go through. So go to prioritizewithpurpose.com/coaching. We'll take you to the coaching page where you can sign up for that prioritization clarity call with me. And if you have any questions, please click and schedule a free discovery call with me. And I will answer any questions so that you can get on this path to figuring out what your path is, right? Like, so you can figure out what you want. And so you can start feeling fulfilled in your daily, on the daily, because even when you're working towards what you want and you're becoming that better person and becoming that person that you want to be, that is so fulfilling and rewarding, and you will feel happier. You will feel more peace with yourself and your circumstances. You will feel less overwhelmed. And I want that for you. So today, what I want you to do is to stop comparing yourself to others and start comparing yourself to yourself, right? To the version of you that you want to be, and take a step in the right direction today. Okay. So I'll talk to you next week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.